Hi, Jewish moms. We have a special guest in today's pep talk. It's my son, Yaakov Weisberg. He decided he didn't want to sleep through today's pep talk. He really wanted to meet all of you. So I hope that he'll sit here quietly while I make this pep talk. Um, so um, uh, I was recently speaking with a friend of mine who was telling me about how she had an issue with some of her children, and it was really making her very angry and upset. So she went to speak with a woman who's a counselor, and the woman asked her. She said, "So what's the voice?" So my friend's like, what do you mean, what's the voice? She said, is the voice, poor me, is the voice, this shouldn't be happening to me. Is the voice, I'm too old to be dealing with this. Okay, what's the voice? What message are you telling yourself? So basically, my friend started doing that, and she found it a really helpful way to overcome like situations where you feel angry and resentful. And so I started doing it as well. So I want to give you like a few examples of when I did this, of when I asked myself, "What's the voice?" when I was feeling really fed up with some members of my family and community, and how you can use this technique to sort of like deflate the feelings of anger and feel a bit better. So the first situation I want to tell you about, it happened I think about 3 weeks ago, and I woke up one Tuesday morning and it was pouring. If any of you live in Israel, you remember that there was a week of just incredibly rainy days, Baruch Hashem. But Tachlis, for mother trying to get her kids out of the house at a normal time in the morning, it was not so easy. So basically, I try to get my 2-year-old and 5-year-old out every morning by 8:15 to take them to nursery school and kindergarten. That by the way was Yaakov burping. So Lavriut. So basically, I try to get my kid out by 8:15, but it was 8:20, 8:25. And my kids they still didn't have their boots on. They still hadn't finished their breakfast. And I was feeling so frustrated. I just felt like I wanted to scream. So I asked myself, like, what's the voice? Okay, what's the voice? So I thought the voice is, I am wasting my whole morning. These slowpoke kids are wasting my whole morning. I'm not going to get anything done this morning. I'm not going to have any time to write an article or work on my blog or anything. They're wasting my whole morning. I need these hours to myself. So I looked back and I thought about that thought. I sort of looked at asking yourself, like, what's the voice? It enables you to sort of look from the outside at your thought and think, okay, is this rational? Okay. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what? It's a rainy day. And it takes longer on a rainy day to find the umbrellas and to find the boots and to get everyone out. I thought, usually I really try to get out of the house by 8:15. This morning I'm going to aim for 8:30. And that really calmed me down. It really enabled me to sort of think, okay, like if I get out of the house at 8:30, like it doesn't really make so much difference in terms of time working on my blog or time working on things that I need to work on. And then actually an amazing thing happened. That morning, because I stayed late, I was able to hear the parenting corner on my favorite radio show, which is, if you live in Israel and speak Hebrew, it's the Hit or Reboot program by Yedidia Meir on Radio Kochai, every morning from 7 until 8:40. I'm sorry, 7:15 to 8:40, and I love it. So basically every Tuesday morning at 8:30, there's a parenting corner, and I miss it every single week. And this week I actually heard it because I'd asked myself what the voice was, and I stopped being stressed out, and I took my time. And I ended up hearing something about how important it is how important it is to help to let kids help in the house and to have kids help in the house. And I ended up actually translating that corner for my website, and it was a really popular post. So just one way of using this approach of asking yourself, what's the voice? Okay. Another situation was this past week. A member of my community did something and said something to me that I thought was profoundly insensitive, and I was flipping out, furious with her. And so basically, all of Shabbat, I was like in a rage against this person. So after Shabbat, I asked myself, what's the voice? What's the voice? And the voice was, I can't stand this. I can't stand that she said this to me. I can't stand it. Okay, and then I realized and asked myself, I realized, like, I can stand it. Like, a lot, like, I've been through hard things, and many people have been through much, much, much harder things than dealing with, like, an insensitive person, a person, like, who, whatever. So, relatively, this isn't a very big deal, and I can stand it, and I can deal with it, and so I can move on. Okay, so it helped me to be sort of rational, to get out of, like, my rage, and I'll never survive this insensitive thing this person said to me. Well, I can survive that. I can deal with it. Okay, not so pleasant. Not a person who's going to be my favorite person, at least in the near future. But okay, moving on. Okay, so basically, those were two situations in which I found that, like, what I was thinking was sort of irrational. But I want to tell you a third situation in which the voice was actually rational, and what I did with that. So I have a 2-year-old. I actually do this quite often. I have a 2-year-old. Her name is Sophia. And if you ever saw her, she has blonde hair and these big blue eyes, and she's so adorable. And she's also the most terrible, terrible 2-year-old, as in the terrible twos, that she's terrible. She just drives me nuts, this girl, this 2-year-old. And so in the morning, just to give you an example, so in the morning we have two kinds of cereal. We have Kellogg's, and we have the Israeli cereal, which I think is Telma. So my daughter, she asked either for the rooster cereal or the yellow cereal. So she says, I want the rooster cereal. So I pour it for them. She says, no, I want the yellow cereal. So then I pour it back, give her the, no, I want that. Like, basically going back and forth. She drives me nuts, this girl. She drives me really, really nuts. But Baruch Hashem, she is so adorable that it almost makes up for how nuts she drives me on a regular basis. Okay. But so I think the last time she did her whole rooster no, yellow no, rooster no, and then a few minutes later we have the whole same thing with either the hummus or the cottage cheese, or the hummus or the cottage cheese, and then she says she wants it, and then she changes her mind. She drives me bonkers, this girl. So basically, I'm feeling so angry with her, and just want to, like, scream at her, and just, she drives me crazy. And so then I'm feeling so frustrated with her. And then I think to myself, I think to myself, okay, what is the voice? What is the voice, Hannah Jenny? What's the voice you're telling yourself? And I realized that the voice is, I shouldn't have to deal with this. I shouldn't have to deal with this. Okay. So then I looked at the voice from, like, the outside, and I looked at it rationally, and I realized I do have to deal with this. I am the mother of a 2-year-old, and all of my kids have driven me crazy when they're 2-year-olds, and it passes, and that's it. I do have to deal with it. But basically, dealing with this rationally and sort of thinking about it, it made me think, okay, but how can I deal with this? What do I need to do so that I'm a calm mother, even though my 2-year-old drives me absolutely nuts on quite frequent occasions? So what can I do? And I just thought to myself, like, how much I need to be taking care of myself, and how much I need to be doing things to make me happy, so that I have the calm and the ability, and the simchat chayim, and, like, the happiness to be able to deal calmly with this girl who drives me nuts. And just as I said, all my kids have gone through this phase, and they've all grown out of it. Like, I don't think that she's exceptionally terrible too, but she is a terrible 2-year-old. It's just, she is really crazy. Okay, so basically, looking at it and thinking about it, enabled me to sort of think of, like, okay, it's true, this is rational, and what am I going to do about it? How am I going to? Okay, so I want to bless all of us Jewish moms. I think that all of us are always in situations, like, we're dealing with people, and we're dealing with families, we're dealing with our children and our husbands and people in our extended family, in our communities, in the world, and it's just inevitable. There are going to be people who are going to make you angry and make you frustrated and drive you crazy. And I think that oftentimes, like, asking yourself, just turn inward and think, okay, what's the voice? What's the voice? And look at it and think, is this rational? Is this irrational? And if it is rational, and think, okay, what can I do about it? And if it's not rational, if it's irrational, which I find in most cases the voice is irrational, then it helps to deflate those feelings of anger and frustration. So I want to bless all of you, Jewish moms, with an amazing, amazing week.